asked me to come say share nothing about the Chasashon, the quiz that we have. So today, Mitzvah Hashem, we're going to speak about the topic Teshuva. This is Teshuva. So we're going to start saying it as follows. In the Rambam in Teshuva, he writes as follows. When he starts mentioning, every time the Rambam is in the halachas, before he starts the halachas, he writes short, what is the mitzvahs of it says in those halachas that he's about to speak out. So in the Teshuva he writes, mitzvahs ese achas, v'hu sheyoshu v'chaytem michetu lifnei Hashem v'yisvade. There's a mitzvah in the Torah that when a person should do, he should do tshuva. Person when he's a chayta, somebody that's sinned, should do tshuva from his sins in front of the Eibishter, v'yisvade. He should say vidu. Vidu is speaking out the bad thing that he did, and he has to say it. We'll see later on how he prays it. So what do you have to say when you say vidu? But that's the Ram said. The Ram said there's a mitzvah to do tshuva and to say vidu. Part of the tshuva is to do tshuva and to say vidu. The Rambam writes he starts off, he reads. Let's read the first line of the Rambam. You see that it's not exactly the way we just phrase it. Look what the Rambam says. All the command that the person has in the Torah. Ben eser, ben loisase, whether it's to do or not to do. We follow the law, ben eser. In over Odom Alachas, when a person went ahead and he sinned, he was over, he passed on, because Russian passed. He didn't do it. Bein bezodom, bein bishkogo, whether he did it amazing, whether he did it intentionally or unintentionally. Kisheyase tshuva, v'yoshuv mecheto chav lisvodes. When he do tshuva, he has to be misvade. He do tshuva and yoshuv mecheto, then he has to do chavli svodos. He has to say vidui in front of the Eibishter, and the Rambam brings the pasuk in the Torah. The pasuk is in Pashas Nos Dvorim, the end of Dvorim in Noso. I'm saying it's really in the beginning of Dvorim. I'm sorry, Pashas Noso, beginning Pasha that says that the person has to say vidui if he steals something. Nothing. What? That's it. Nothing. Pashas Noso it says. Visvodu es chatosim ki yasem mikol chosas odom. Person does anybody does it aveira, and he has to say vidu what he did. And the Gemara dashin it zeh vidu dvorim, and that's a mitzvah says. And now the Rambam writes out how do you say vidu? What do you speak out? You say Onu Hashem chatosi avisi pashoti I sinned lefanecha v'asiti kach v'kach I did so and so v'arei nichamti v'oshti. By the way, it's very interesting. I saw that the reason why you have to speak out vidui is because a person speaks to himself, he looks at the shaitan. What are you talking to himself? Person to speak, so you have to speak it out, and you have to perceive yourself. You're speaking in front of the Eibishter, you speak in front of the Kodesh Baruch Hu. That itself gives us a koyach that you're not a shaitan. You are speaking out. So then you say, I'm embarrassed. I regret what I did. And I'm afraid that's called vidud dvar. That's the Ram says. But if we look carefully, the Ram does not say that you have to do tshuva. When you do tshuva, you have to say vidud. He doesn't say the person is required to do tshuva. When you do tshuva, you have to say vidud. That's the way it's on. What does that mean? It means that it's not obligation. The tshuva is not obligation.
So saying a person's not regretting, don't say vidui. But if you want to get closer to Hashem, then say vidui.
So this is when I get to this point. What is the purpose of the
vidui? Personal, like today, for example, I arrived a little bit late for minyan, so I said, with the minyan, the 13 attributes.
Right.
I was a bidi evid 13 attributes, and just to say it with the minyan, because it's such an important thing. But I didn't say the value of one part, I just said the 13 attributes. Is that okay?
It's okay.
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 But everybody can get over that.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah. Even the
Yeah, but you have to know.
I have more part of it or no? Or the 13 of the
You have to make sure that the priority is you should daven along with the 10 people together at the same time. And if you come late, so that's you should skip it and say it later, man. You know,
You can't say, can you say the 13 attributes alone? 13 attributes you can say it alone?
Only we know
Yeah.
drop.
no, the 13 you should say it along.
With the minyan.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the.
But we know we drop.
Upon him, that's what we say over here. The Ram says that when you do vidu, you have to mitzvahs to do vidu, but it's only when you do tshuva. Similarly, and the Mechaschiluk speaks out in this Rambam that there's no mitzvah to do tshuva. I'm saying the mitzvah is to say vidu, but when you do tshuva, then you do vidu. So that's not the mitzvah is not tshuva itself.
What if the Rambam defines tshuva? What means tshuva? Can we define that?
We'll define the middle tshuva.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's we'll see what Eze Tshuva Gemura the Ram writes. So this is the two levels of tshuva. The Ram says that in the Perek base, he writes as follows: Eze Tshuva Gemura. What is
Which one this is in Hilchos
this tshuva?
of Rambam?
Yeah, Eze Tshuva Gemura. What is considered a full tshuva? So this is what we call it. The Rishonim call it. It's called as a tshuva and there's a tshuva samishkan measurement. What does it mean? And we'll see in a minute. Yeah, and the Rama calls it tshuva gemura, complete tshuva. There's different levels of tshuva. When you say I'm sorry and regret something, there's two different levels. Sometimes you regret because you just, I feel bad. Sometimes it really bothers. And you feel, you have to, and as Rabbeinu Yonah speaks out in the Sefer Shai Tshuva, Gates of Tshuva, he writes over the levels, stages of what to do tshuva. We'll see in a minute what of this thing. But the Ram writes, what is tshuva gemura? Somebody that came, the same challenge came about to him, and he stopped himself. He didn't because he didn't do tshuva. And not because he's scared of anything. And not that he doesn't have strength to do the avera. And the Ram begins with a person who was nishal with a woman, and then he was over. It's funny. He after time he was Isurichad again. He was Misachad with her, and he controlled himself. And the only reason he controlled himself is not because he doesn't like her anymore. As Ram says, he still the Lashon Ram is Ba'avoso, so he still loves her, and he has his whole strength. And it's the same situation. All the things that caused the Aver at the time, he has the sim in front of him, and Ram says he's still not doing it because Babish there. And that's about Tshuva. Let's go Tshuva Samishka. Tshuva Samishka is that the same weight you're able to do it. Sometimes you eat something, you ate something, somebody ate nichshel, something of eating food, but he doesn't have the same challenge with him. He's not so hungry, he's not in the same situation with friends. He doesn't have to do the same situation. So he doesn't eat, he doesn't walk into the tray for the restaurant, or he's nichshel, challenge somebody to give him food and he checks what it is. Yeah, but sometimes it's not the same challenge. Sometimes extreme challenges, that's also tshuva, but it's not the same level of tshuva. That's what I'm saying over here. This tshuva gumor is to stop that thing. The Ram says, yeah, you should do when you're young, because it's not the same. So he says, even though a person is about tshuva, but it's not the same level of tshuva, and he's still nilchaman, even if he's not doing tshuva so mishkal. The tshuva's mishkal, as we call it, tshuva gemura, is when you have the same challenges, and this is. Umay tshuva, the Ram writes is, sheyazav achayte v'cheto v'yasir machshavos. A person should leave the chet and should not do it. And then the Ram says in Charoto, Isnochem al she'ovu. Ki achrei shuv nechamtzim. There's two stages. There's one called azivas aches, which I'm leaving the chet, I'm not going to do it anymore. I'm not doing it anymore. I stopped. And I'm also regretting that I was over on this case. So the sound, the Ram brings the pasuk. Then he's moisty for Givaldic words. He says, V'yoid all of Yodea ta'alumas shelo yoshu v'zeh achet leilen. Yodea ta'alumas, know the person that knows all the hidden things, not personally, the Eibishter, the force that knows everything, can testify about him that he will never do the chet again. We'll never do it again. We have to get clear that, of course, 2 hours we have the Keshes. And the Am feels us, we talk this what is Biswasim. ולא מנעשה לשגמור וידי. He has to speak it out with his lips. It's not enough about thinking, even though we know the Eibishter knows everything what we think. But in order to get complete vidui, you have to speak it out. I once heard that concept of vidui is also, as they call it, the therapy. The psychologists all say a person when he does a head, there's two ways to things. You move out of your head, and the therapy is one of the things is that speak it out, lay it out again. You speak vidaito or speak it out to others. Video is in order to take it out of yourself and to get out, speak it out.
ماشي الحكم يعني في كبر do it 6 times. One shema doesn't be enough.
So that's how I know the Minokim is why we said it's in the Chanami. If you reach the full level of Daga once, that's what it is, but it takes time to get there. It takes time. It's a lot of preparation and a lot of work to get to the stage of to the true.
Speak it out to a friend or speak it out to.
So
like
that's
your
therapy is to speak out to a friend, somebody, but the video is to speak to Eibishter, and that's the koach is to take it out. That's what the video is.
Like his brother do.
Yeah, that's what it says over here. So it says, but you have to speak a thing which you come believable. You complete it in your heart, not to do it again. But I want to speak out. We get this
Say in your heart, you mean you kill it?
What do we
Not
kill?
kill the desire.
Right?
Is that killing it?
Okay.
Erase
Over
it.
contract, yeah. That takes away the way to control yourself. Is unfortunately I saw Hashem, one of the Berlin writes. He writes, I think it's the good. He writes in the Mishnah, mitzvah goreres mitzvah v'aver goreres adoyer. So he says the way it works out, when a person does an act, the Rotzen in the nefesh has a tremendous desire to do it again, and more. The nefesh lo timode. The nefesh does not fulfill itself, it doesn't finish, and he wants to do more. He says, so the mitzvah is goreres mitzvah. The nefesh goes, you do mitzvah, he doesn't want to do another mitzvah. And aveira, goreres aveira. And aveira, the Rav Motzlan is going to do another aveira. And then you fall into the level. So he said, that's the mitzvah goreres mitzvah, and aveira goreres aveira. So mitzvah goes, ashriish, asher asanachas ruach leyotzre. He says that ruach, the spirit that comes and desire that wants to do more and more, until when you get to ashriish, when you complete, and he says sanachas ruach. The spirit's rest, when you complete. So that's what it is, you get to the highest level. That's what the mitzvah goes mitzvah concept. The Goins over there speaks out, Psukim Mishlei, beautiful, that is a concept, the biggest Yetzirah we have. He says is Dvar B'Teilim, to speak nonsense, Lashon Hara. He doesn't speak, he says, why? Because the Eibush did Zelul Mazeh. Because Shmok does everything, this, the mitzvah, the koach that we have, that's what we in this world, koach up here, A versus B, with the balance. So as much as there's a koach kedusha, there's a koach paket, 2 months. So the biggest schus that we have is divrei Torah. We speak out learning. So Kedech said the most desire we have to speak over Torah. You speak Lashon Hara, Chilus.
So it's not.
Just the Vilna for example.
So based on that, 1 to 10, how important is it to learn Chofetz Chaim? Say for the priority.
So that's
Would that be a 10 priority?
it should be.
Would it be hot?
Yes. Chofetz Chaim writes himself that the otherwise our words, quote unquote, blocked to reach the heavens where it's supposed to reach because we don't have the courage. We stuffed it ourselves. That's what it's a timtum alev. Our various timtum. What is it stuffed? You don't matter. They plugged it in. You don't let it go. Come on, slash.
So even more important than tefillah because the tefillah is not getting accepted.
Right. Right.
It's a free modeh in a sense.
In a sense, yeah. That's a good. But just to remind yourself, as much as it says that the Gemara speaks out, also Benin speaks the Baal Lashon Hara don't accept. Chofetz Chaim writes this is that when you do learn Lashon Hara, even if Chas Hashem you nichshel, and as the Gemara says, is Rubam Kulam Rubam B'Lashon Hara, it means there's a difference Kasba Lashon Hara and someone that speaks Lashon Hara. Someone that says nichshel, that happens, which is not that's justified. One thing, but somebody that is a kat Lashon Hara is a guy that doesn't care. So if you don't care and you don't pay attention to it and you learn or you think about it, even once a day, this time, and so that itself makes you ice class of the Lashon Hara.
We institute some kind of daily sentence or paragraph or weekly or monthly in this regard or some kind of
This works, each one individual.
uh-huh.
I do believe that each one in the Avodas Hashem has to find his derech, to follow other people. You have to know it fits them, it fits you. The same way when you go to the doctor, he told me, he told my Moshe, he says, for you, he says, Danish can hurt more than others. And that's what it is. If you sugar have problem, you have to watch yourself. He says, that's more others. He says, others doesn't affect, well, it does affect. Each one in our Avodas Hashem, same with physical, we have different kaiches. In Avodas Hashem, we also have different kaiches. Each one knows what works for him and what works. Recently I told a friend of mine, he told me, why don't you go shopping in this supermarket? And I went and said, it doesn't work for me. I said, I know this place, I know where the plant. That's how it works. So then we waste time, you get frustrated. In Avodas Hashem, the same thing. You try to follow because you see Yana succeed. You succeeded for him, not for us. Each one has done. But Ryan, we all know this. We just don't remember it sometimes. Just because you see Yana success doesn't mean that his path is for you. We have to find our own. And Abishta helps us and he guides us in each one in his way. So whatever works for you, do it. Try, It's a good time sometimes to have together with your friends because you have somebody to help you. Each one chazak. Each one tells his friends strength. Yeah. But that's this thing. Okay, that's what we saw. Just before we move on, I just said the Ram over here says very interesting. The Lashon is Yoid all of Yudea Ta'alumus. Someone didn't know all the hidden thing. You should say the Lashon for funny. You should say Yudea Sidus. And comes in the question also, the futures. One of the Abish says, I'll never do it again. Rachmana litzlan, every Rosh Hashanah we keep it, we go through, we clap the head, so we'll never do it again. It comes every week, at best, sometimes too longer, then we fall again. So we're going to be tshuva. Rachmana litzlan, we tried.
It's just showing that we're human beings.
Right, but if the way tshuva is, that the Abish is a talumus, what is that? And this one, the Mishal Salanda speaks about this other. Then comes another question, which is interesting over here. I saw it in the Sefer that says, the Rambam puts out which context he put this halacha. When he says, I regret and I accept upon myself, I will never do it again. And then he says, V'yoid olav on the past, the Eibishter, now that we're eating stuff, testify you'll never do it again. Why is that has to do in the regret? When on the part, he's mentioning the part that I regret what I did. It should be really mentioned in the part that I accept upon myself, I'll never do it again. That's not the place is not. It's over here. Let's go over here. Rambam writes in Perek Zayin. I will show you again. This Lashon is if you have to do tshuva. Look at this. What it says is. Okay. Oil v'reshus kol adam l'sunamo. Person has a choice. כמו שביארנו, משתדל אדם לעשות תשובה ולהסוודוס בפיו מחטאו ולהנה כופר מחטאים. Person should be mishtadel to do tshuva and to say it is. Here the Rambam says mishtadel. Mishtadel Trump. Sounds like it's not obligated. Again, in the beginning we see a steer. Again, with the Rambam introduction, he says the mitzvah says to do tshuva and say it is. Here it says mishtadel. And we started reading over before. It says Sheyoshu. When you do tshuva, you have to say it is. Again, it's similar. There's no obligation. But the Ram says, what is it? Kidei sheyomus v'ubal tshuva v'yizke l'chaya l'meh. Should be zechem l'amor. Another order over here, we have to speak out, and that's that the person should do tshuva in order he should be zechem l'chaya. Meaning is that you do the tshuva, the mitzvahs, in order to get schar. We know the Mishnah also says us to know this. The person should do mitzvahs. Should love Nasakad schar. You shouldn't give a word. Over here it sounds like the word is the Chayar Elam, over Iske the Chayar Elam. And the Ram, again, but here, the answer to this question we'll see in a minute is, what is the concept of what we did the tshuva for? So the Ram writes like this. Toilet Tshuva. Yeah, I now say another kasha once because this kasha I saw the Simcha, but the others who speak of Meshachach, beautiful kasha. Kiran's question is a person who's part of the Tshuva is Charota and Kabbalah laws. Kabbalah, I'll never do this Avera again. That's how you accept it by yourself. You regret what I did, and you accept it so you never do it again. The old last question is, are you allowed to do it before you did it the first time? You're not allowed to do it, right? The Thursdays don't do it. So now, after I did it, I'm doing tshuva, and part of them say, I won't do it. You're not allowed to do it anyway. What is this Kabbalah makes it that right now it's in the tshuva? You were not allowed to begin with. Okay, thank you. You're listening again. I'm accepting that I listened to you. You were supposed to listen before you didn't listen. So what is this over here? The Kabbalah of tshuva. Kabbalah said, I will never do it again. That's a strong question. It's when I'm asking this, children, this is everybody's coming with answers. Yeah.
Then he would do it. Not by.
So I'm presenting myself in the stage of status that since Avera goes away, since I did Avera, it's easy for me to do Avera again. That's and there's the Gemara speaks in the second condition that Kevin, the person that Avera wants, and he did the second time not so look at. But that's the second time. After that, or even if you write after the first time, I have more desire. It's easier for me to do that very easier. But in the Kabbalah, when I do tshuva, when I said I won't do it, you're not allowed to do it to begin with. What is this, the tshuva of it? That's the, okay. So, what comes over here, and this is the Inyonei Teshuva Bichlal. The Ikar Tshuva is really, we speak on, Avada is a mitzvah to do tshuva. Another Shemsand. But the Eifan of tshuva is that it's too brilliant. We put it, it's just another issue. In Sfarim, Shloh Kodesh and others say that when a person does Avera, what is the Pekam of Avera? We know that Sfarim speak out. There's two concepts of Avera. There's one Avera is that you don't listen to what I ask. The Eibush told something to do, we don't listen to it. And also is the Avera creates some damage. Symptom, because it's a kilkul nefashos, in the shamas and other lamas, we occur. And I guess you go to the doctor, and the doctor says, no, I regret what I did. It's selfish. You want your body. Well, tshuva doesn't help. Kercha tshuva is that it erases all the damage that we created. There's a machlekes in Rishonim, when we do tshuva, what should we do first? First should be charata, or first should be azivus achetz. So it depends what's the shorish of the chetz. Is the tshuva is only because we forget the Eibishter, or the tshuva because we're not listening? If we're not listening, it's azivus achetz. The first one, stop, listen. If the what is, if we are sentences, Eibishter, we forget in the Lamas, we create upon ourselves that the shepherd that comes from Mishamayim, the Gutzkeit and this, does not have a klikibul. It doesn't have enough food to accept the old Gutzkeit the Eibishter wants to give us. We fill it up with stuff that there's no room to get in. Stuff doesn't go. There's no base kibul. So that's what we do. This. We do tshuva, we ask the kilkul. Pshat is then, the charata is the first thing. Charata is the accepting of the squeezes. Okay, that's the two things over here, but the thing. But the ikar tshuva is, this is the sit say that we say from the pasuk, Kiva seleikim leitoy. My bit right now, that's the pchintoy. Tshuva is not just and that I want to get reward, I don't want to get punished. It's true, it's all true, but that's not the level of tshuva. Tshuva is that I want to get connected, I want to be close to the Eibishter. And we are, as the Rambam writes, before a person is Person person says with this Ukaiden it's in Perek Zion. Person says Tama Mulula Malas Tshuva. A great is the great of Tshuva, says. Emma Shoyers moved on Hashem Elokei Yisrael. Yesterday this person was removed from the Eibishter. Shenemar Avoneschem Oyim Avdilim Beinechem Leven Lekechem. The Avon is separate between the Eibishter and us. Tzoik Vein, he screams, he does not answer. So that's what he says. Teufin Oisel Befona. He does mitzvahs that don't accept it, and grab it away. He doesn't reach his purpose. The Ayoim, after he does tshuva, Mudbak Bashchina, he's glued into the Shchina. Shenemar Va'atem Atvekim Hashem Elokechem. Tzoik Vein Miyad. He screams and he answered right away. Shenemar, it says, Vayater Mikru Vanena. Before they have a chance to call the Eibishter, I answer them. He does mitzvahs, mekavim or benachas and simcha, they accept it. That's the greatest thing of tshuva. The tshuva is that now the Eibishter wants us. The Eibishter likes us and he wants us. That's what really, the epitome of the tkufa of after Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, the day in the pastors, when we do tshuva, the Eibishter wants us. Kivos Elokim Nitoiv. Sukkot is the Yom Tov that we get together, we sing with Eibishter. We're singing and happy and get closer to the Eibishter. And that's the Bechina Koch to do it. Because that's the purpose of tshuva. So Pshalavada, the way to do tshuva is when tshuva is. So that's what it says. Kshiyasa tshuva is chavis vodos. You have to say vidui. But that's the full tshuva. That's the Gemara tshuva to get close to the Eibishter. And that's what it says, that you have to get close to be part of it. As it. So the chiv tshuva, be'etzem is, without tshuva, the Balamusa said over, the tshuva is charata, it's another aspect. Besides that, you can punish, but who wants to be so far away from the Eibishter? We're not close to him. We want the tshuva, want to get close. So maybe you're going to punish me, but the fact is there should be connection. I have way to connect to the Eibishter, to speak to him, and he looks at me and he answers me. That charoto, that's what has to be done without tshuva. That's without the mitzvah tshuva. That's tshuva because I want to get close to the Eibishter. That's the thing. Vidui is afterward. Vidui is the pshat is how do you compare this thing that you have to speak out to vidui. And Mele, if that's true, to get closer, it's very geschmack. Why? The part of the charata you get to, I won't do it again, is mention the charata. Because the pshat is charata is, as we spoke at from Meshachon's question, is you're not supposed to do it anyway. But here I'm standing not because I'm regretting what I did. I want to be in a stage that my whole life was in a stage of lack of thing. Before the showing speak out, that's something I'm staging right now. And I'm preparing myself. I'm in the stage of charata that I don't want my whole life that I lived and I did various. It's not a situation that I want to be by. I want to be close to the Eibishter. It's the Shorn speaks out that the Kerch HaTshuva is gewaltig gesagt that Akiris HaRatzon ki Akiris HaMais. Ratzon is the will that I wanted to do. It takes away like the act I did. It doesn't exist. That's what the Tshuva says. However, this shit is saying that there's no mitzvah. In the Ramban, clearly, in the Pasuk, mitzvah azois, in Pasuk Nitzovim, we're learning the Pasuk, it says, Sharanochi mitzavchem nefresim mechov v'lerechoikim, loi b'shamaymi. So all those Rishonim, Rabbi Inyonei and the Ramban, they both learn that goes on Tshuva. The Rambam, if we say the Ikar Tshuva is not just the to get to the stage, it's the video, is the Ram Takalun, this person goes on Torah. He goes on Mitzvah Tamotayah. The Rambam brings this pasuk in Mitzvah Tamotayah to learn Torah. Kia Mitzvah, Mitzvah Tamotayah. The Ramban and the Inyonei learn that this pasuk Kia Mitzvah goes on Teshuva. Lo nifresim lecha. Person get discouraged that I can't do Teshuva. There it says, first of all, Lo nifresim lecha. Lo yechaka yitzayach. You can do it. And once somebody says the furthest distance in the world is between the heart and the head. You know, in Koich and Moich, we know that what we're supposed to do, we want to do. But in their hearts, to not act upon it, all the time it's coming out. So, take out from the idea, from the cup, seichel, to the heart, to live upon yourself. With the rotzen, that's the rotzen is. Heart is the rotzen. All the midas of kisufim, waiting to get desires that comes in the heart, in education. So that's what that is Hashem. So with something we get this discouraged. So and that Rabbi Shol Salanta used to say over. First of all, there's a pchina, and the etzem is Rabbi Inyonei speaks out of Dvarim Shloim. He says over here. He says in the Mishnayos also one of the Nasa v'nishma, he goes on. Kol shechachmoso, the Mishnah says like this. Kol shemaso, to the Ovos, the Adnos, the Mishnah Ovos, meruba mechachmoso, chachmoso miskayemitz. Shenemo Nasa v'nishma. That's the Ovos, the Adnos says. He said, when a person accepts about himself, Asher kibel anafshu belev neman lishmo velasus al pi haTorah asher yiru the Torah command us. He says, "Val pi hamishpat asher yimanu shel mishpat the people, the dayanim, that tell him what to do. You have schar." He says, in that moment, the person gets schar for all the mitzvahs, even though they didn't do, because he accepted upon himself to do it. So he's lucky he's going to do it. And it's a distinction you never heard. This person is myself greater than his chacham, because otherwise, it's not possible to do more than you know. How else can you do something if you don't know about it? The Teretz is, if I accept upon myself to do it, then I get a schar like I did. But it's only I'm really honestly willing to listen to the Chacham, to listen to the Kemas. Here you get the schus. If you mekabel, that's the Nasa v'nishma. Accepting upon myself. And the Bishol Salam says, "Givaldik koyach in Chidush Teshuva." He says, when a person does the very things, I can't do everything. But if there's one prat in the Aver itself, you mekabel yourself that not to do it, then he did it. He does it to you for the whole mitzvah. And I saw in the Sosra also said that this one, that when a person does whatever he can, the Eibishter gives him a koyach. He says, that's right before. He says, the Eibishter gives him koyach to do, takes him even on mitzvah he doesn't remember. If you search, he says, for mitzvahs, to have everything you do, you want to do tshuva, and you start looking, but you don't remember everything. The Torah Islam, when Inyonei writes, every night you should write. You know what you do, but we're too busy to forget to do it. If we do it, but it says, but if you really do the tshuva and you look and you start thinking what I did yesterday, last week, the Eibishter will give you mechila and all the averes that even you don't remember. He's learning, shooting, gives a mashal when you go to the doctor. The two people got sick, they went to the doctor. So he says, they have inside shreklach machros. So one guy has a little wound, so he goes to the doctor. And that's what I have to go for it. It's a small thing. We go to the doctor, and the doctor sees this is not. If the wound is a small thing, the cause of it is much more serious. We see there's wounds that are inside that cause these things. So we tell the doctor he gives you a for. And not only that he merapid the chitzenis, is merapid the pnimius, the wound are inside. That person zechet before. The other person didn't go, everything is not a big deal. Wasn't there refuah? He says that's what it says when a person has refuah for small things. Maybe it does miracle and even think that he doesn't know about it. That's the chaos of tshuva over here this time. So, and that's the pshal is that in the charot alava is the pshal is that I'm in connected in the relation that I don't want that situation that I was. Not just I regret what I did. In situation of far away from the Ebershter, that distance I don't want to be. I want to be in the situation, the conflict. I want to be in the situation that I'm close to it. So it's not just the Kabbalah lawsuit and then I do it. I don't want to do in the status of the Aver before. This is the Yivra Tshuva of the Malach Tshuva. The Tshuva gives Zoiche Taka to Shir B'Tzim B'Meinu 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 Shir Zoiche Tshuva to be Nefesh Nekir L'Fnei L'Eibishter Taka to Zoiche. One of Simon this that with right now the past week we had Talmid Chachamim Rebbes Rebbeinu we went away. We still had the Shiva Kargolin used to live many years. He lived on East 17th from KNLFK. And the Koyach that I just heard, this Shabbos Kodesh, I was in the shul and somebody spoke out and said, "Because Diva Zikon is a Talmud." I will learn this research as religion. Sit over in Gonshak. Dwalik in my sin. Sit over this fellow. He said, "I got a job in Bad. Just think, and you see after a month, I just looked. It's great. And he says, I was, he went over to Shiva and told him, he went over to Rabbi Jermaine. He was now, and he told me, he did say the thing is, what? Rabbi Jermaine did not take this here acceptance, and he told Abanchak, and he told you, supposed to him, he says, you have to speak to this person. He says, Abanchak calls him up, and he tells him, he asks him, he says, what's going on? He says, listen. He says, I can't do it this way. He says, listen, I know what the Mishnah is. And I feel that as they walk out of the school, pick up the avocado. You go, they eat, you walk into all the chef restaurants. There's no impact for him. I cannot. Later, this person told me, he said, that was just an excuse. It was really just difficult to teach. But that's what he told him. So you remember he tells me, he says, listen, he says, you have to grow up. He says, to look in life, it's not about just what you see. It's what behind it. He says, just picture yourself. How was those children, great-grandparents were? With Mr. Nefesh. He said, they look like you and Zaydu. They had the same shmiras and mitzvahs, Torah mitzvahs. Elamai, they fell. The people when they grew up in the situation that grows them not to be where they study. But you have to look at them. They are in the Shomas and Klal Yisrael. They are Zoiche, and they're going to bring it back. And just because right now they're not doing the right thing, that doesn't take away to you that they're in Ashpo and they be Mamshekech and this kind of thing. He says he walked out and he says he finished it. And he said that one of his students, he was there only for 1 year. So today is Shem Shabbos, sends kids to school, the Shako, the Cheder Yeshivas, you know. So he doesn't know his influence did it. But he says, like, you know, the Koyach of thing that everybody in the Klal Yisrael has to believe in himself, that we can do it, and we'll do it and as much as we can. And we'll do a little bit, as much as we can. We'll be Zeicher to get complete Yeshua. And any stage where we are, we have our jobs. And we mashik to be in the shirts and get it in every.
Thank you, Rabbi. Thank you.
Yes, you can.
Well,
Yeah, there's not like you do, no?
Rabbi Zuman, how many had
I did.
And so.
Shkoyach, everybody. Good. Okay.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Florida.
Oh, yeah, okay. Call to